Okay, in this video here, I'm actually going to show you how to troubleshoot your window or air conditioning unit for a bad capacitor. Okay, how do you troubleshoot these window units without taking them all apart or calling a technician for a bad capacitor? Okay, so I'm going to show you the easy way how to do this. Okay, what you do is first you take off the cover of this unit. Okay, and what you want to do first is you want to feel if it's cold. If it's cold and you don't feel no air blowing out, okay, it's either going to be two things. You either have a bad motor or a bad capacitor. So what you do is when you take the cover off, to test if you have a bad capacitor without even taking apart the unit, what you do is you actually, there's a wheel in here. You could actually spin it by hand. Okay, if that wheel spins and it stays on spinning and it does not turn off, that means your capacitor is no good. Okay, that's one way to check if your capacitor is no good. You should actually feel air coming out. The problem with this trick, a lot of people don't realize that they spin it and then the AC will start to cool. If you actually leave the unit running like that without replacing a capacitor, the motor will get really hot and you'll actually burn out your motor. Okay, so that's just for testing purposes. So like I said, that's one way you can actually test to see if your capacitor is no good. You actually take off the front cover, and keep in mind this is actually a little bit dangerous, because when you right when you push that motor, you want to take your hand out of there really quick, or else you can actually chop your hand off, right? So you gotta be careful when you spin it. Take your hand out and don't stick it back in there while it's running, right? Or else you can really hurt yourself, right? So that's one way to do it. Now, if you notice here on this unit, the other trick is, where is your capacitor? Okay. Okay. Actually, if you notice here, on this unit, the capacitor is actually right in front of your face. If you look right here, here's a capacitor. Okay, the capacitor is actually right here. So if you want to check that capacitor and pull it out, you could. Okay, now on this particular unit, it's an LG. You're gonna actually have to take the screw off over here in the bottom, and there's another screw right over here. Now I have this machine all really foamed out. I can't pull it out, unfortunately, but I'm just showing you, if you install it without all this foam I got on it, it will slide out. Once you take off the two screws here, and on the other side you might have another screw in the back, there's a handle right here. You pull it out, and then you're gonna check if you have access there. Make sure you discharge your capacitors before you actually touch them. It can shock you. You want to treat capacitors as actually a live piece of voltage. They do hold a charge, so just discharge your capacitor. So here's your capacitor right here. These capacitors, when they start going bad, you can take a look here. See how this capacitor is all swelled up? They'll start to swell up on the top. Okay, that's another way you can check if they're bad. When you pull it out, look if it's swollen too. Okay, and this is a very common problem. If this capacitor goes bad, that wheel in there is not going to turn. Okay, it needs that capacitor to actually turn that wheel. Okay, so that's pretty much it on how to troubleshoot an actual air conditioning unit capacitor. Have a good day.